What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining today here on the Southside Beat. My name is Chris Halicke here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel, podcasting network, every video podcast platform, whatever you're watching, we're here. Appreciate you guys for joining who are watching live, for joining the live chat and being part of the conversation. And thank you today if you're listening afterward. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to all of the Steelers talk, because shoot, that's all we got going right now, because there's nothing Steelers going on until June 24th or July 24th, whenever players report to St. Vincent College for training camp. But until then, it's just a lot of talk and a lot of noticing what players are doing, during their time off. We'll get into some of that here later in the show, but I really just wanted to give you guys a shout out here on this hump day right here in the middle of the week. But if you're here for the show, this will be the last show of the week. I am flying up to Pittsburgh tomorrow morning. Going to be spending Thursday and Friday looking at houses up there to finally get this move, to get another big step done in this move. And hopefully by the time I come back, I'm under contract on the house up there and we can really get the ball rolling. So excited about that process for sure. Appreciate your guys' support, for everybody who's watched and listened to the show and given positive thoughts and vibes and everything like that. Appreciate each and every one of you. So today, definitely wanted to Travis asked, do you need to be picked up at the airport, Chris? No, I've got all my transportation taken care of. I do appreciate it, though. All my transportation has been taken care of. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Really quick question. Did you get the home inspection negotiated? Yeah, everything's already taken care of, man. We're, as of 5 p.m. Central today, we'll be pending on our house, selling on our house. So that'll be a big time, yeah, good stuff. Just excited about it. Really quick, shout out to Benjamin Bahinsky here, one of my longtime friends, joining the chat today. Said, can't wait for your homecoming. I appreciate that, Ben. Thanks so much. So Ben, by the way, Ben and I have been friends for since 1999. So we've been friends for a long time. So today definitely wanted to hit on something, because, obviously there's a lot of expectation for these rookies. And I mean, obviously it's a big thing, Troy Fautanu joining the offensive line just adds more depth to that. Zach Frazier, same thing. Roman Wilson, receiver room, definitely know that the receiver room needs some sort of jolt without Deontay Johnson there. I'm Peyton Wilson. You could go through all these rookies and talk about how they can make an impact. But the year two guys, I would almost say it's more important, just because when rookies come in, they're not ever brought in and expected to be big time contributors right away. There are exceptions to that every now and then. Obviously, when Ben Roethlisberger was drafted, even though Bill Cowher had no intention of starting him right away, when Ben Roethlisberger was drafted, we knew that he would start at some point pretty quickly, one way or another. And obviously, we know the rest is history. He took over for Tommy Maddox due to injury in game 2 and never gave the job back. And there are certain circumstances, certain exceptions to that rule, but especially with the Steelers never drafting high in the first round, they typically don't get a player that is a legitimate number one, no ifs, ands, or buts, day one starter right away. Now, that can happen, and it's happened quite a bit, It absolutely can happen, but there's still a certain expectation, and the way Mike Tomlin puts it is that, it's their first lap around the track, right? Everything is new for them, and not that he or anyone else should grade them on a curve. There is an obvious growing experience, growing pains, even sometimes, for these rookies. Year two guys, that if there ever is an instance in which Mike Tomlin grades on a curve, it definitely goes away when these guys are hitting their second year. No longer will Mike Tomlin think of them as, oh, they have to adjust, or should anybody think that they have to adjust to the NFL level. Mike Tomlin's like, no, I expect big things. I expect a bigger jump in production, jump in anything to do your job and make the team better. And that's a very reasonable expectation, because they have been around the lap once. They've been through the entire offseason program by that point. They've been through training camp. They know what to expect there. They've been through preseason. They know what to expect there. And they have been through the ebbs and flows of the NFL regular season when it comes to playing on a short week, when it comes to how to handle the bye, how to handle the extended bye, whenever you just got done playing on a short week and now you get those extra days off before when you're done playing on a Thursday night and you're not playing till the following Sunday, and you have that extra long week, how the Steelers manage that, how Mike Tomlin manages that, all these ebbs and flows. They've been through that already. And so now Mike Tomlin really expects them to take a big time jump and become the players that they were drafted to be. And so that's why when you look at that 2003 class, we had the immediate response to it was overwhelmingly positive, because for a lot of people, it was a very, very good draft class immediately. And you could even say, year one, the returns were very good. Broderick Jones came in, didn't start right away, but made the switch over to right tackle and performed pretty well for all things considered. You might, for a first-round tackle, might want to expect a little bit more, but he showed his ability as a run blocker, and everybody knew coming out that he was a more accomplished run blocker than he was in pass protection. And, showed his athleticism, the ability to pull from the right tackle position in the running game. Everything that we saw from Broderick Jones is promising. Joey Porter Jr., obviously, again, didn't start right away, but man, by the time that he became a starter, he almost immediately earned the keys to the car that almost nobody ever drives in Pittsburgh, and that's the key to being the shutdown corner, right? I mean, Ike Taylor was the last one to really have that privilege. Like Joe Hayden every now and then, kinda, but Ike Taylor was the last true corner that was given that responsibility of, like, you're on the number one guy shutting him down every single week. And then before then, man, you have to go all the way back to Rod Woodson, like in all fairness. So that doesn't come around very often, and he earned that as a rookie. Keanu Benton showed a lot of, I would say, flashes. The ability in pass protection was very evident, especially right away whenever he got his one and only sack of the season, in Vegas against the Raiders. But still a lot of other ways. And he really grew as a run stopper, which really was the thing that he really needed to grow on. There were a few different snaps in the loss in the wild card game to Buffalo, in which, like, I saw Benton be able to take on two blockers and still be able to either, like, eat up the space, which is what you want to do, or even make a play on the ball carrier while taking on two blocks. Those are things you really want to see. And I saw more and more of that as the season went along with him. Obviously, and then you have, Darnell Washington as a tight end, obviously played a big time role as a blocking first tight end. Shoot, man, I don't even remember how many catches he had. I'll pull that up real quick, but I don't remember how many catches he had, but it wasn't a lot. Like, he wasn't he was not a focal point in the Steelers passing game whatsoever. Yeah, he had 7 catches for 61 yards. And he played all 17 games. So 7 catches. He was not anywhere near, he was not part of the Steelers passing game. Nick Herbig showed really well on special teams, but then the opportunities that he was given when he earned defensive snaps, man, he made plays. He made plays in the game, in the win over Cincinnati on the road. He had a huge sack in the clutch in the win over Seattle on the road, which that was really a must-win game for the Steelers. That was the point of the season where the Steelers pretty much had to win out 3 in a row in order to have a chance. And he comes in and makes a big time sack. Man, wasn't that a sack fumble? Guys, remind me. My old age is it might have been a sack fumble now that I remember. But a big time play, a splash play, in the clutch, in the waning moments of that game, which really helped the Steelers win. So when you look at these guys, they all showed promise at different levels for sure, but they all showed promise. But now is the time to see, okay, what do these guys do in their second year? What do they do now that they've been around the track one time? And, I posed the question here in the title of the podcast, which year two guy needs to take the biggest jump? Who is the one that really has to, in order for the Steelers to compete in a very, very loaded AFC North and to get wins while having a much tougher schedule than they had last year? Which year two guy needs to have the biggest jump? Which year two guy really needs to be the guy to really go from like, okay, you were right here, but now you're like, okay, that's a bona fide starter. And I already got a couple answers here. And the thing is that I think you can make a case for multiple guys. I'm actually going to agree here with Slant X and say Keanu Benton. And the main reason why I say that is the Steelers need to have a plan for post Cam Hayward. They really, really do. Not saying that they shouldn't sign Cam Hayward to a contract extension. If they can make the money work and it's team friendly, absolutely do that. But Larry Ogunjobi, his contract's going to be up, I think, in a couple years. They need another guy to step in and become another dude. That's the best way I can describe it. They need another dude on that defensive line. That way, if Cam Hayward really is going to be battling Father Time hard over the upcoming season, and if they sign him to an extension, the season after that and the season after that, if this really is going to be a thing in which Cam Hayward can have all the mental fortitude in the world, if his body just breaks down on him, and only the future knows that, like only time will tell for that. But, and Joshua Dobbs here says 97's replacements on the roster at the moment. I'll make I'm not going to like go and try to make some sort of bold like prediction and speak in absolutes and say Keanu Benton is definitely the guy, but he could be the guy. He has all of the tools and he has the strength, but he came in as a more accomplished pass rusher than he was a run stuffer. And when you think of Cam Hayward, yes, he can do both. Absolutely. And Cam Hayward has absolutely made a living doing both. But some guys that play that interior role are better fit to really only kind of stop the run, and then anything that they can contribute in the passing game, especially when you have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and now like from the second level, Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson and all these other guys who can blitz and get to the quarterback. You always need that guy in the middle. If you really want to be an elite defense, you need that guy in the middle who can get after the quarterback, and Keanu Benton has the skill set to do it. And so that's why I think of all the year two guys, if he takes the biggest leap, if he takes the leap from promising interior defender to, okay, that dude's a dude, that dude can get after the quarterback. I'm talking like flirting with double-digit sacks, and if he doesn't even get there, like 7 or 8 sacks, but then also grows as a run defender and can help eat up space and help, is really, really solid with his gap integrity and lets the linebackers eat, then that's a really, really good sign for the defensive line moving forward. I don't know if Keanu Benton can be that guy. It could happen. You can get a second-round guy to turn into a dude. It happened with Stephon Tuitt. Stephon Tuitt was a second-round pick, and he became a guy. Or as I'm describing it, he became a dude, right? And Keanu Benton has the talent to do it, no doubt. And I think if you really want to solidify the defense, because right now the weakest link on the defense is the defensive line. And it's not because they don't have players who can play. You know, Cam Hayward, when he's healthy, I'll bet that he can still play if he's 100% healthy and can maintain that health. Larry Ogunjobi, for the inconsistencies, every now and then he shows up, and whenever he shows up to play, he's a good player too. Keanu Benton there, like the defensive line, when they're there and they're all healthy and everything like that, it could be solid. But if Keanu Benton can make that jump from here to here, that's a big time addition. And it really helps soften the blow of if and when Cam Hayward retires or moves on to another team. If they don't work out an extension and he still wants to play and the Steelers are just, we love you, but we're going to professionally go our separate ways. But there are really, really good arguments for other people. And, you know, right after, somebody, Slanek said Benton, Joshua Dobbs here says Jones, and it's not close. I would agree. There's a huge argument to be made there too, because of Broderick Jones, whether he's playing right tackle to start off the season and Dan Moore's the starting left tackle, or he eventually makes the switch permanently over to left tackle, whatever it is, if Broderick Jones can show everyone that he is, without a doubt, the left tackle of the future, that's a worry you don't have to worry about down the road, right? That's a huge relief. And so definitely an argument to be made about Broderick Jones. I think we can pretty much cross off, because I'm seeing a couple people say Joey Porter. I think you can almost cross off Joey Porter, like Joey Porter Jr. And the reason why I say that is because it's not important that he takes a big leap in year two. It's just because his rookie year was already so good. Right. And there are some people that are going to sit there and complain about the number of penalties. Get out of here with that. Just don't give me that argument. If you're talking about a guy who can shut down the number one receiver every single week, you take the penalties. You'll take that you will gladly take that as a happy offset. If the dude can literally follow every single number one receiver he follows every single week and either shut him down completely or really minimize his impact, you will take the penalties along with it. You'll take the occasional pass interference or the occasional 5-yard holding penalty in a first down. I mean, he was an official nominee for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he earned that. A lot of the numbers that he put up were very comparable to what Sauce Gardner did as a rookie. I mean, Sauce was a little bit better. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that they were, but some of the coverage numbers were very, very similar, very like in the same ballpark. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but they've been in a chalk talk I've definitely written. So I urge you, just go to DKPittsburghSports.com, go to weekly features or regular features, click chalk talk, and then scroll through. You'll find something on Joey Porter Jr. So I don't think you necessarily need him to take this big, gigantic leap, because his rookie year already, like, he was the Steelers' best rookie last year. Would anybody really want to argue that he was the best rookie last year? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would really argue that, because as good as Broderick Jones was, he had some struggles in pass protection. And you could chalk that up as, he was playing right tackle for the first time. But Porter, again, earned the right to be a shutdown corner. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just that he became a starter as a rookie. Okay, that's like the first check of the box. Did the rookie become a starter as a rookie? Okay, that's a good check. Right. And you could really only say that about Broderick Jones and Joey Porter Jr. Can't really say that about Keanu Benton, because Keanu Benton really only got the extra snaps whenever Cam Hayward went down. Can't really say that about Darnell Washington. Maybe you could, like as the number 2 tight end. But definitely wasn't the number 1. That's obviously Pat Freiermuth. So the only 2 that you could really say like legit starter as a rookie, Joey Porter Jr., Broderick Jones. And then of those 2, Porter had the like obviously better season. So again, obviously, do you want to see growth in year 2? Of course. Do you want to see all these guys grow? That goes without saying. But if Porter has a more gradual growth in year 2, or even kind of remain stagnant, get a little bit concerned at that point. Like if what he was as a rookie is the best he ever gets, you can live with that. Like, because I guess the numbers are good, but you want to see him get better, right? You still want to see him get to because if he can go from being, okay, that dude was one of the better corners in the league to being like, no doubt, top 5 in the league, which by the way, he calls himself top 5, which is funny. I have that in our Steelers feed. He did an interview with Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider. And he was like asked to rank his top 5 corners. He made himself number 5, which is funny. And he left out Sauce Gardner in his top 5, which when I see Joey at training camp, I might have to ask him about that. But I would say Benton year 2, but Broderick Jones, there's a really good argument to be made for him. And listen, Jay Moods brings up Darnell Washington too, and I don't want to rule this out either. Because if Darnell Washington can be better utilized in Arthur Smith's offense, and if there's an offensive coordinator that can get more out of the tight ends, it's Arthur Smith. I mean, at least, for example, as Jay Mood says, especially if he's utilized in red zone sets, could absolutely be a key factor in the red zone for sure. Because tight end is already a valuable position in the red zone if you have it, but if you can have 2, if you can have Pat Freiermuth, who's already a good receiving tight end in his own right, and then you can add Darnell Washington to that, like that's a big, like you're talking about better red zone efficiency, that puts points on the board. That could have a big impact too. So an argument to be made for Darnell Washington too, but I think like if Darnell Washington becomes a bona fide number 2 tight end, like no ifs, ands, or buts, that's a really good find, really nice addition to the offense, but I don't think it's as impactful if the Steelers find, without a doubt, their left tackle of the future, or at least that guy that they drafted to be their left tackle of the future takes a big time jump. You're talking about being able to have a tackle that will be affordable for the next 3 seasons after 2024 if he becomes that. And Travis asks, is he about Washington, is he like 6'7" or 6'8"? Washington 6'7". He's 6, according to Pro Football Reference, he's 6'7", 264. That's his size. So he is a big dude. And so but yeah, if Broderick Jones can solidify himself or at least make you feel a lot better about like, yeah, dude, he's the left tackle of the future, that's a huge find because at least you have a franchise left tackle that's very affordable for the next 3 seasons. Like even that 5th-year option, like, yeah, it'll be expensive, but it'll be better than what he would have to earn. Like if he were to earn like a bona fide number, like top 10, top 15 left tackle in the league. Like that's not going to be a cheap contract. That's going to be really expensive. But as to my point earlier, if Keanu Benton takes that leap and he becomes a dude on the defensive line, that makes you feel a lot better. Because at least if Broderick Jones kind of doesn't really grow too much, or the growth is, minimal or gradual, you at least still have 2 other tackles. You have Troy Fautanu, and at least for 1 more year, you have Dan Moore, which in a run-first offense with an offensive coordinator who coaches the run better than Matt Canada did, Dan Moore should be better. Should be. It's not the end of the world if Broderick Jones kind of has more of a kind of a gradual year or 2, which if Benton goes again from here to here in year 2, that's a bigger. That's why I think in year 2, Benton taking a big jump really solidifies that defensive line, which then in turn makes that defense as a whole. And if we're talking about the Steelers competing in 2024, their best chance for that to happen, other than either Russell Wilson finding some sort of fountain of youth and turning back into the Russell Wilson that we like from his heyday in Seattle, or Justin Fields realizing his potential that he never did in Chicago and he does it in Pittsburgh. Outside of those two things happening, the best way for the Steelers to compete in 2024, or at least at bare minimum to try to end the drought of no playoff wins, is for that defense to be elite, for that defense to be one of the best. And right now, defensive line is the weakest link. And if Keanu Benton takes a big leap in year 2, that solidifies that defensive line. And it also gives Mike Tomlin the ability to limit the snaps for Cam Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi and keep them healthy, keep them fresh, so that when they're on the field, they're able to be more effective. And they're not having, it's almost like the TJ Watt effect. TJ Watt, like, he intentionally wants to only play a certain number of snaps because he wants every single one of those snaps to be like where he looks like TJ Watt every single snap. And if he's playing way more snaps, the effectiveness per snap kind of goes down. So that's my vote is Keanu Benton. There's a really good argument to be made for Broderick Jones. Like I said, I don't think you have to worry about Porter taking a big leap in year 2 because he was already so good as a rookie. Joshua makes a funny joke here. Joshua says Russ should be able to see 80. That's a good one. I like that. That's funny. Jerry asks about Calvin Austin. I mean, yeah, Calvin Austin, you could kind of call him a year 2 player, but I mean, the only reason I haven't lumped him into that is just because he's technically not a year 2 player. But I get what you're saying. Like, he lost his entire rookie year due to injury. And so, like, a similar thing for Corey Trice, like, this upcoming season is going to be much more like what would be his rookie year, but it's really his second year because, it's not like Major League Baseball where if you're not, on the roster or, anything. Now, granted, if you're on the injured list, you still accrue Major League service time. So maybe it is kind of the same thing. But I mean, shoot, like, obviously Calvin Austin, if he takes a big leap and he can become, establish himself as a legitimate receiving threat, awesome. Like, especially if the Steelers don't trade for a receiver. So, and Cody makes a good point here. Like, when it comes to Calvin, like, yes, his first on-field experience was last year, but at least he had, and Cody says here, he said he knew the system in year 1. Like, yes, like, you're at least going in knowing the offense and having watched the offense on a week in, week out basis in the classroom too. Like, being able to do that for a year, like, there's a distinct advantage, like, between that, like, and that's like over, like, coming in as a rookie completely fresh and blind and everything like that. So, so I would say, I would say my vote is Benton, but a really good argument can be made for Broderick Jones because, I've said it already, but I'll say it again. Yeah, if you can get that bona fide left tackle and have that question answered, that's a huge relief for the team, for sure. So, good arguments to be made either way. All right, so nearly already half hour into the show, and I don't want to go too late today because we have the Ramon show coming up at 4 o'clock. So that comes up. It's 3:34 Eastern right now. So in 26 minutes, the Ramon Foster show coming back for its weekly edition. So I don't want to be too late here, but do want to at least point out that Russell Wilson was a video got put up on social media today. Russell Wilson throwing with DK Metcalf. And I'm sure some fans will be like, why isn't he throwing with George Pickens or Calvin Austin or Van Jefferson or any of the others? I just think it's really interesting that he's throwing to DK Metcalf. And that's why I put it in our Steelers feed. I'm like, I don't know. But what I do know is that for somebody who admittedly is an agent of chaos and just kind of like to see every now and then Kind of like tap into that dark energy, like Heath Ledger Joker, where some people just want to watch the world burn. Like that's exactly why Jay Moon says, "Bro, trade for Metcalf." That's what I'm talking about. You throw DK Metcalf, I know that's going to be fans going to be like, "Oh, they're going to trade for DK Metcalf," and so it's just funny, man. Like it's it's funny, but the one thing that I because I put in there, like in the Steelers feed, and some people were like complaining about it. Like at least one person complained about it whenever I put in there. It was a picture from Justin Fields' Instagram where he was in Morocco with CJ Stroud. Now, granted, they were like also training together, and but they were also like riding camels and stuff like that in Morocco. I'm like, and somebody was like, oh wow, like what's he doing over there? It's like, dude, this is the time where they all unplug. So to see guys still training like during this time, that's a good thing. So Robert says, Chris, do you want to start a rumor? Dude, I'm not starting anything, man. That rumor has been started ever since the Steelers traded Deontay Johnson. That rumor started. Like, I understand Brandon Ayuk's been the receiver that's really been at the forefront for that, but it's been Brandon Ayuk, it's been Deebo Samuel, it's been Cortland Sutton, it's been DK Metcalf. It's at some points it was even T Higgins, which I didn't even buy one shred of that. Like really, the Bengals are going to somehow actually really entertain trading T Higgins to the Steelers. Like, no way. But I'm not starting anything when it comes to a DK Metcalf rumor. That's been around for a while. It's just the Brandon Ayuk thing has been at the forefront because it's the contract negotiations between Ayuk and the 49ers has been made so public that that's why Ayuk's been at the center of it. But no, DK Metcalf's already been connected to the Steelers in trade rumors. So yeah, no. But no, it's just it's good to see. And listen, the one thing that I was watching for, like I know some fans are like, "Oh, trade for Metcalf." I'm watching for how Russell Wilson's throwing the football. And I'll tell you what, in that little video, and it's in our Steelers feed right now. One little video, man. Some of those passes from Russ were pretty dang good. Russ can spin it, man. He can spin it. I mean, I don't think his ability to throw football has really ever been in question. I think even in Denver, I don't think his ability to throw football has ever been in question. I think playing within the structure of the offense and throwing to the middle of the field is the big questions with Russ. I don't think it's his ability to spin the football or be accurate or even throw a deep ball. And a couple of deep balls in that clip, and they were right on the money. I mean, I'm talking like Metcalf's not having to break his stride or anything, and it's just right in the bucket. So yeah. I love every time this comes up about how much Brandon Ayuk looks like Mike Tomlin. Travis actually says it here, and to be completely honest, I'm tired of it too. Travis says I'm actually tired of hearing Ayuk mostly drama. I am too. I'm ready for this whole thing to be over, but I'll tell you what, as I've said before on the show, I really believe that Omar Khan is he has already been willing to show how patient he can be for a certain thing to play out. And I think that if he really wants one of these guys, he's going to do the same exact thing. He's going to wait it out, and he's going to get the guy at the price he's willing to pay to get the guy, not at what the other team wants to get. So I really do believe that is the I really believe that's Omar's approach to it. He's just going to be patient. And if it happens, it happens. Great. If it doesn't happen, then I believe that's why they've been signing every other receiver under the sun. Because they're just hoping that one of these guys will stick. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Give you guys a good 20-minute break. Grab a bite to eat. Grab a mid-afternoon snack. Go to the bathroom. Whatever you got to do. Ramon Foster show coming up in 20 minutes. For all of those who are here watching live, if you didn't watch or listen live, really appreciate you tuning in for this episode of the Southside Beat. Reminder again, I said it at the beginning of the show, but just to remind you guys in case you joined late, there will not be a Southside Beat tomorrow or Friday. I will be in Pittsburgh, but I'm flying up to Pittsburgh here from Texas to look for houses and to hopefully even get under contract on a house up there to get the next big step done here in this move, so that by the time I get there, which again, I will be up there in time for training camp. I'm even going to be up there in time for the 10th anniversary celebration here for DK Pittsburgh Sports. So I will definitely be up there for that. So if you're planning on going to that, I will be there at some point. I can't promise I'll be there for a long time because most likely I will have been arriving literally the day before that after a 2-day trek across the country. So I might be a little tired and want to get some rest before training camp coverage begins. But I do plan on being at the 10th anniversary celebration as of now. So, and then training camp begins the next day. So it's going to be hitting the ground running by the time I get up there. But excited about it, ready to get this entire thing just done and get to work. So thank you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great, next 4 days, 5 days, 4 days. See you guys on Monday for sure. I will make an announcement in the community section. Keep a lookout for it, but Matt Williamson will be on the show at some point next week. I've already talked to Matt about it. So remember, there's also an episode coming up with Matt Williamson, whether it be Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it'll be. I will make a note in the community section. Keep a lookout also on DK Pittsburgh Sports and our Steelers feed. I will put that in that feed as well for whenever I know which day it is, so that you guys can make sure you tune in, because this will be an opportunity for you guys to ask Matt some questions too, for what he thinks about this team ahead of training camp. And if there's anybody's opinion that you want on this team, you don't like my opinions, you probably like Matt's a lot more because Matt, like I said, knows this game better than I do. So yeah, gonna have Matt Williamson on the show. So looking forward to it. Matt's a good dude. Always enjoy talking football with him. Really excited about that. So appreciate you guys so much. Catch you guys on the Flippity Flip. Ramon Foster show coming up in 17 minutes. Peace out. Have a good one.